It's Packers-Lions Thursday Night Football on Prime, and it looks like it should be a game with a lot of scoring going on. 51.5 implied points this game. You know, we're going to do what we always do here. We're going to get ready for a DraftKings Showdown today. We're looking at the projections and the ownership, of course. Look at the sim lineups as well, the optimal lineups. By the end of this video, you know 3 takeaways to build unique lineups for tonight's DraftKings Showdown slate and a fun game on tap. We don't always get that on Thursday nights. See what we got going here. Chats as well. It's promo code SPLASH, Jason. Promo code SPLASH, not SPLASH Play. I was always promo code SPLASH, but I appreciate that. Appreciate it's money time. Let's get it, squirters. Fucking Adam. And here we go. Appreciate you guys being here. Was writing up some of the stuff for my fantasy points prop column before the show. So have some takes here to get into. One guy I believe in a lot more than most, but we'll get on that when we get there. Let's look at the projections right now via Stochastic. Of course, Stochastic. It's also promo code SPLASH on Stochastic. It's never been promo code SPLASH Play. Always promo code SPLASH. Link in the description too. However you want to get discounts on Unabated, on the Solver, on Stochastic. Please check the description here on Splash, but you can get taken right there. We get attribution. You save money. It is a win-win, in fact. Jesus Christ. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 18. It's always the ones you expect to know your promo codes the most that let you down. 18.1 fantasy points for Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know, not Splashy Splash, not Lad. Promo code SPLASH for everything. I make it as simple as I possibly can. Lost by 20 points. Fuck D'Angelo Russell. Yeah, that's the name of the game, man. But NBA doing well for the most part there. The Clippers killed me yesterday. Harden, one of the worst games James Harden has ever played, which my pal Josh Egelman warned me about in the deeper dive. I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Still played James Harden because of all the unlimited opportunity. They had 40 points and were down 35 at one point. I didn't keep watching the game, but that was an awful NBA game. Anyway, NFL, let's focus in. Top projected plays right now, according to Stochastic. Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 1, 18.1 fantasy points. 10-2 salary for him. He is the only guy above 10K on the slate, so he'll be the pay-up option people get to a lot. Competitive games, I do tend to like Amon-Ra more. Biggest issue for him is that Green Bay does play. Actually, no, you know, good thing for him, rather. A lot of zone on their side, 61% zone rate for Green Bay's defense. Amon-Ra's been a zone killer on the year, 30% target per out run rate, as opposed to a very low 19% target per out run rate when he's facing man defense. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, your pay-up option here. People will get there a lot. I like him in these kind of game scripts, like him overall with the matchup as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, certainly worth the high dollar points overall. Jordan Love at number 2, 9,400 for him. He's going to be in a lot of lineups today. Jordan Love, I think, makes sense here. Jordan Love, we see, tend to hit his highest ceiling games when it's a competitive spot on the other side, the other team putting up points against them. Biggest example would be the Minnesota-Green Bay game earlier this year, where that looked like one on paper that should have been a tough defensive matchup for him. Because Minnesota put up points early, Jordan Love was in pass rate mode the entire time. And this is a team that, if it's competitive, they want to run the ball. They want to keep it in Josh Jacobs' hands. They want to keep it out of the risk of just throwing the ball and losing possessions. So this is a spot where if you expect Jordan Love to do well, I would try to have some lines on the other side. I would try to have your Montgomery and Gibbs early touchdown, maybe an Amon-Ra touchdown, maybe a Laporta touchdown, whatever you want to do. The point being, for Jordan Love to get there, I do think you need to have scoring going on the Detroit side. High total spot here. The Lions implied for 27.5 implied points. As I mentioned before, it's 51.5 combined. So Green Bay's implied for 24. But to get where you want to go in terms of the actual game flow, probably a situation where you want to see Detroit scoring early if you're going to play Jordan Love. So it's one thing I try to keep in mind for builds here. Jordan Love certainly has a decent ceiling. This doesn't run as much as people would like him to. He's only running 1.2 times per game, which is actually less than Jared Goff, who's a 1.2, but a little bit higher. For Jordan Love, it just has to be the right game script for him, which is one where they have to put up points from behind. Jared Goff at number 3 here, 17.7 fantasy points for him. A little bit more expensive than Jordan Love. Probably gets a little bit less owned in an optimizer situation, which we'll see in a moment on the Solver. But Jared Goff, good play here. Obvious stack partners, perfectly fine play to go to. And I think playing him in lineups without Jordan Love, just trying to have Jared Goff beat out Jordan Love straight up, then it probably ends up a little bit underplayed overall in the slate. Jahmyr Gibbs, 16.4 fantasy points for him at a 9K salary. I prefer David Montgomery in these kind of matchups against a tough defense. Green Bay's defense on the year, negative 0.13 EPA per dropback, negative 0.15 EPA per pass allowed. That is towards the bottom of the league, I guess, for matchups you're going against. Towards the top of the league in terms of defensive performance. Also giving up a negative 0.09 EPA per rush. So tough matchups for me. I do want to go to David Montgomery more. Gibbs could still get there. If we go with the kind of the main logic that's paid off for how I prognosticated the Lions this year, which is basically that when one guy has a good week the previous week, they tend to go to the next guy the following week. That's been a thing that's been the case for the Lions pretty much this entire season, where one guy gets going, they then decide, oh, we got to feed Jameson Williams this week. Laporta gets going, oh, we got to go back to Amon-Ra the next week. Gibbs gets going, oh, we got to go back to Montgomery the next week. Nobody really got going for the Lions on Thanksgiving, but there was a lot more work for Montgomery in that spot. Wouldn't be crazy to see Gibbs going off here, but stylistically, I do like Jacobs more. A little bit cheaper at $8,600, only $400 cheaper though. Projections a lot lower on Montgomery, so data-wise, Gibbs is the preferred play for stochastic. For me, eyeball test, knowing what I know of this team and how it tends to play, I think Montgomery would be a little bit more appealing to me, but both certainly valid on the slate, and Gibbs was dead quiet last week, so trying to get him going this week does kind of fit the Lions' ethos. Josh Jacobs, 16.1 fantasy points. Do think you want a game script here where the Packers are ahead. Jacobs runs some risk of seeing the pass rate drop a little bit in the red zone if they are playing from behind. Overall in the year, Green Bay actually does pass above average in the red zone overall, 4.4% pass rate or expectation in the red zone. I think Jacobs has got one of the better workloads in football, 3.6 red zone intended touches a game, 2.3 of which are inside the 10-yard line. But you do want to see a spot for Jacobs where this team is in control of the game for him to get there. I'm okay with Jacobs. Think he plays well with a Montgomery focus build, I think, or a Gibbs focus build. I do think if you go a little bit more pass heavy, though, I'm less inclined to get Jacobs there just because if, like, let's say Detroit pulls ahead by 3 touchdowns, I think Jacobs becomes a total non-factor. He'll get some checkdowns, but probably won't put up enough points to get there. And then the touchdown expectation drops a lot. So Jacobs, to me, I'm going to be really particular about how I play him tonight, even with a pretty good projection on him. But really a lot of good projections here. With these projections as well, kind of seems like one of those slates where a $200 guy might pop up a little bit more. Jaden Reed is one guy I'm really low on today. So Detroit, as we talked about this entire year, Detroit plays man defense at a pretty good rate. Highest rate in the league, actually 45.5% man defense rate. Jaden Reed has been legit awful versus man defense. 12.5% target route run rate, incredibly low for comparison. He's honestly not getting targeted a ton versus zone either. Only 16% target route run rate. Jaden Reed has not been getting targeted a lot. The difference, though, is that no Romeo Doubs today. Versus man defense, Christian Watson targeted 31% of the time, 2.8 yards per out run. Dontavian Wicks has been awful, only 0.3 yards per out run, getting targeted 40% of the time he's on the field versus man. So you have two players here who are not Jaden Reed, get targeted a lot versus man defense. You're facing a Lions team that plays a ton of man defense. So kind of an obvious put those two things together thing. I think Watson and Wicks are much better plays on paper than Reed here. Reed will still get played a good amount because he's going to be the highest projected guy for sites like Stochastic. Price tag at $7,600 doesn't look that bad. No issue with him, but I assume he's going to be highly owned. If he's higher owned than Watson and higher owned than Wicks, I'd prefer Watson and Wicks 10 times out of 10. And I think Reed, with that projection and the salary, I think he gets into a good amount of lineups. And I'm not saying fade Jaden Reed entirely on the slate, but I do think for me, I'd greatly prefer Watson and Wicks in this kind of situation here where just you're going to get a lot of man defense. Those guys can beat man coverage. Reed just can't. Reed is not doing it even a little bit so far this year. Besides that, your top value players projections. You got Bo Melton, 2.8 is a projection for him. Don't see how he gains a lot of snaps here. Last week, we had Watson playing over 50. Wicks got over 40. Yeah, Wicks played 48 last week, which was up for 28 the week before. With Dobbs in. And then we had Melton playing. Yeah, Melton played 9 snaps. He would benefit more if Jaden Reed were out. But Melton, 2.8 fantasy point projection here at 1,200. Not my preferred play. Dontavian Wicks, like good value at 4,200. That's a really good price tag. Again, he's been targeted a lot. He also has been dropping a ton of balls this year, but the 40% target rate versus man does stand out pretty hard to me. So Wicks at 4,200, I would prefer that to Melton by a pretty good margin. Obviously, projection-wise, he is much higher. Wicks might be in a lot of lineups at 4,200 with a 9.2 projection, so we'll see what we get in a moment. Jordan Love, despite his high salary, one of the better values on the slate as well. Talked about kind of the pluses and minuses of Jordan Love up top. Shane Zylstra, hard for him to catch a touchdown with Brock Wright and Laporta in. Yeah, Brock Wright, 2.5 projection. I prefer Brock Wright, even though I do not want to pay $3K for him. Zylstra at $200. I don't think that's really a play. Manuel Wilson, his snap share has been getting a little bit weird lately with Chris Brooks looking better. Manuel Wilson last week played 4 snaps. Brooks played 15. So Emmanuel Wilson at 2K. This projection's probably a little bit lofty for him. Feels like he's lost that role to Brooks. Brooks, though, has a 4.1 projection. These both, I don't think, can be right. Would greatly prefer Brooks at 2,400. Wilson just kind of has lost the role. Really not great values on the slate, though. Zylstra, you're only $200 guy, so how are you going to pay for the pay-up options? Well, let's try to figure that out. Your top owned plays right now, according to Stochastic. Let me load this tab up. We got Jordan Love, number one, 58% ownership overall. The price tag works. The value metric works. He's going to come up a lot. So 58% overall, 9% in captain, 49% in the flex. Jared Goff at number two, 56% for him, 8% in captain, 48% in flex. Playing these guys at captain, much like, well, honestly, Jameis didn't pan out on Monday. He maybe could have. I didn't look at what the optimal lineups would have been after the fact that didn't actually win. But Jameis with Judy and Moore and Njoku, maybe you could have played that at captain. Still feels to me like a spot where I wouldn't mind these guys. They're going to be under 10% owned, taking your shots. As long as you're double stacking them, triple stacking them if you play them at captain, might be worth setting those rules on an optimizer if you can, or making sure that they're in the lineups that you select from the Sims tool. But Jared Goff, Jordan Love, highest owned players, but a lot more in the flex than at captain. Amon-Ra St. Brown and captain coming up a lot. 16% of captain should be the highest owned play. Yeah, I mean, it was the play in terms of what won. I don't know what the optimal was, but he probably scored more than Jameis enough anyway. But if Jameis, I don't think it was a Jameis plus triple that was in that lineup that did win. So point being is if Judy maybe scored one less touchdown, I guess, in that game, Jameis at captain with Judy, with Moore, with Njoku might have been the thing. And that's sort of where, I think people miss a lot when playing QB captain is if you expect there to be great receiver performances, but you don't have a slate breaking receiver, you want that QB captain paired up with him. So was the point I was making about Judy specifically. Amon-Ra St. Brown, again, 16% overall, 53%. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of Amon-Ra here at that price tag. But again, nobody that expensive. It's going to be fairly easy to afford Amon-Ra as long as you're not jamming in a bunch of 9K guys. So Amon-Ra, chalk play here. Seems well-deserved. Jahmyr Gibbs, 46% overall, 10% at captain. I'm iffy on that one. People like Gibbs a lot more than I do. I've been lowing him since basketball season. I think he's an okay play here. I do think stylistically this feels to me a lot more like a David Montgomery matchup against a tough run defense. That said, Gibbs can break one. He's done it before against tough rushing defenses. So for Jahmyr Gibbs, the workload's there for him. He's fine. I just prefer Montgomery at less ownership and less salary. Josh Jacobs, 46%, overall, 10% in captain. Jacobs, think it's a particular game script for him to get there. Think he's a viable captain play. 10% feels about right for him, though. I don't know if I'm trying to think about the builds or I'd play Jacobs the most. Like him in captain for a Green Bay upset. We're trying to play that more. Like him in the flex if you're playing a game with Montgomery or Gibbs at captain more. But I do think a pass-dominant Detroit game script. I'm just not as big on Josh Jacobs. I guess the one way that could hit would be Green Bay builds an early lead, which is possible. But I think Detroit comes out swinging here. Do we think Gibbs in the doghouse? No. For the team thing, there was a TikTok he posted where he did give away the team's various play calls where they have code words for different formats or different formations rather for the lineups. I don't think it matters that much. I mean, they said it didn't. I don't think it's in the doghouse for anything. They're going to use him if they can use him. Really, the bigger issue for me is just the matchup. If people aren't going to play him because he's in the doghouse, I would play him more. The matchup, though, I just really don't have that great about the feeling about here. David Montgomery, 40.5%. Jaden Reed, 40. Wicks, 34. Watson, 32. I do not like Jaden Reed this much ownership. I just don't think the matchup fits him that well. His target rate's been really not that good on the year. He's breaking big games occasionally, but not really breaking big plays along the way to those big games. A lot of his big games, too, do come with some rushing upside, which I don't expect to be there quite as much today. Not crazy about the Jaden Reed ownership. I would flip it for Wicks. I would flip it for Watson, especially. I think Watson, I'm going to take him in my fantasy points column today. 100-plus receiving yards is at a really gaudy plus 600. Actually, more than that on FanDuel. So the lines for the prop markets don't support it either. But Christian Watson in this spot, I do think is one where his success versus man defense, the fact that he is a game breaker, and the fact, too, that I expect Detroit to be able to put up points. You look to guys like Watson more, Wicks to a lesser extent. I think Watson's going to be getting some downfield targets today, and he should be able to hit one of them. So Watson to me, flex play looks good. Captain play, tougher to hit, but still good. We'll prioritize Watson today. I don't know what this is in reference to, but sure. Oh, about Gibbs being in the doghouse. I think people do think it out there for what it's worth. But I don't think it really matters, especially for a team like Detroit. They're like probably to me one team that be least inclined to be punitive about something like that, just because they'll think it won't matter that much. And that's what they basically said is like, you just come up with new names. The issue is the entire team then has to learn, new names for things, which you don't want to do midseason, but it's stupid. But I just don't think like the Patriots would probably fucking sit him for a week. The old school Patriots. I don't know about this year's Patriots. Lions, I think it's probably just doesn't matter, but yeah. Reverse doghouse. Well, at that point, that's not really a narrative at all. but sure. Lower owned guys here. Got Lions D under 15%. Tim Patrick under 15%. Tim Patrick playing a good amount out there, just not doing a lot with it. He's a play that I kind of tend to avoid on a lot of slates. Patrick last week did play, is that right? He played 49 snaps last week. Did play a lot of snaps. Khalif Raymond being out is opening up a little bit more for him. For comparison's sake, Jamison Williams played 55. Amon-Ra played 66. So Tim Patrick playing a lot of snaps. 15% owned. That's probably not enough ownership for a guy who's getting this much work. Packers D 11%. Chris Brooks 9%. Both playable for different reasons. Bo Melton I would not go to, as I mentioned. Wilson I would not go to. Ben Sims, don't think so. Brock Wright, maybe. Zylstra, probably not. Let's go to the solver next. Let's see what we get for the optimal lineups here using ETR's data. You log in. Share this tab. All right. So let's see the optimal lineups here. Again, the goal of this part of things is mostly to see what the projection math's going to drive people to. Let's take a quick look at ETR's numbers overall. So ETR's top 5 is Amon-Ra, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs. For comparison's sake, Stochastics was Amon-Ra, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs. So a little bit of a flip there with Gibbs and Jacobs, but that's basically it. Relatively the same here for the top 5. Oh, they wouldn't let you use it with Black Friday. Okay, shout out, Jason. I appreciate you trying to use the wrong one. You said promo code SPLASH, but I'm like, Jason, come on. I know people use that code on some stuff, but that's annoying. They said that you could use it together, so I hope you click the link in the description to do it. I just mostly want them to know that people actually are using the product because that's how we keep that Splash Play NBA YouTube channel going. All right, let's look at the top 25 lineups here. Just in time for the solver. There you go. Rather have Gibbs over Jacobs. I think Jacobs is the more functional play for me in terms of, like, because Jacobs, if you get him right, you captured what the game script is, which is one where it's a tight game. Nobody's pulling ahead too far. Okay, thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. I'm not mad at you, Jason, for the record. I'm just using it mostly to promote, but I appreciate what you're saying here, and I always appreciate you, Jason. Thank you. All right. So main thing for me with Gibbs versus Jacobs would be like Jacobs, if you get that right, it's because it's a competitive game. It's one where maybe the Packers were in the lead. It sort of tells you the picture more. Gibbs could hit in any game streak. He hit one where the Lions went nuts. He could hit in the one where the Lions were close and were losing, and then Gibbs caught some passes playing from behind, broke one for a touchdown. Like, there's too many ways that Gibbs can hit, whereas for Jacobs, like, you just know what the game script is a little bit more. So sort of how I feel about that. But really overall, you're not going to be wrong with either player. Like, they're both key parts of the offense. You just have to get, the game script right. Your top lineup right now, the game lineup you should be playing if you're playing a cash game at 11:21 a.m. on the East Coast. Dontavian Wicks at captain, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, and Christian Watson. Look, I'm low on Jaden Reed. He's going to come up a lot here, so that's a natural fade for me, I guess. Wicks, he's coming in 100% of these lineups. So Wicks, too much of a value with ETR's data. Looks like they do him a little bit better projected than Stochastic as well. Wicks, they must have in the double digits. Yeah, Wicks, they have an 11.4. ETR data does. Stochastic had Wicks under 10. So ETR players will play Wicks even more. Both sites, though, going to get Wicks a good amount because he's a pretty good value at that 4K-ish salary. Yeah, Jordan Love coming in 88%. I mean, naturally here in these top 25, the one player you would fade if you're just trying to get away from the field would be Dontavian Wicks. He's coming up a ton. 56% in cap in these top 25, 44% in the flex. So people are going to put Wicks in. I think that Wicks is a very easy captain choice to hit today. Given how bad he's been on the year, playing him more in the flex might be a more logical move. Wicks is kind of like on some of these Raven slates where Mark Andrews captain works really well. People think Mark Andrews is going to catch one touchdown. It's enough for him to get there. In reality, he doesn't have as much of a ceiling to beat out your Derrick Henrys, your Lamars, whoever else is on the other side as well. That's kind of how I feel about Wicks on the slate, where I think he's going to look really easy to get a captain because you could get in all the good players with him. But in reality, you probably shouldn't do it because you're walking into a dupe fest, and Wicks might not put up enough points. If you're going to play Wicks, I think you got to leave salary on the table. You could see here like how well these Wicks captain lineups work. Like Wicks at captain, that first one, you got Amon-Ra with him, Goff, Love, Reed, Watson. You're getting everything. This one, you're getting Wicks with Jacobs, Goff, Love, Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta. You're getting all superstar players relative to this game and these two teams. Wicks with Amon-Ra, Jared Goff, Love, Gibbs, Bates. I mean, Bates not a superstar, but like you're getting key Lions. Wicks with Amon-Ra, Goff, Love, Montgomery, Laporta. Point being is with Wicks at captain, you get everybody. That's going to make people play Wicks at captain more than they probably should. So that's a key observation and note here. Stack construction-wise, you're getting 43% of lineups that are 3-3s, so pretty even split there. 29% of lineups are 4-2s for the Lions, so at least 72% of lineups are, roughly here based off the optimals. 72% of lineups will have at least 3 Lions, so if you do play less Lions, play more Packers, you are going to get more unique naturally. But you're still getting a good amount of 4-2 Packers here. 20% of lineups in the top 25 are 4-2 Packers, 7% are 5-1 Packers. That's weird. So you're not getting Lions onslaughts. You're not getting Lions onslaughts at all, but you're getting some Packers onslaughts. It's confusing. So more Lions in general projection-wise, less Packers, but you're getting more Packers onslaughts and no Lions onslaughts. I don't know what that means. I think that means that Lions onslaughts are probably a little bit more appealing here than they would be normally. Because people just won't go to 5 Lions for whatever reason. No Dobbs today. Dobbs is still concussion protocol. And Watson captain in a single. I don't know if I love him as captain. I like him a lot in the flex. I would certainly play him in that lineup, but I'm not married to him at captain. Playing for the buy in my fantasy league. Do I stream Wicks? Or you shouldn't stream. Well, you shouldn't stream any of the Buffalo guys. You go Wicks. This is your team is not doing well. Any interest in building a pickup? No, none. Sorry. I know I've done it once when Tyler asked, but it's not fun for me. And frankly, I take up too much time with the other stuff here in the video. The longer the video goes, less views it gets. It's sort of the way it goes. That's how it goes. Lions onslaught too expensive. That's what makes it a better play. So it's not coming up naturally, which means you want to get to it more. No sim lineup to the solver right now, so we'll head to Stochastic next to see what they got. Of course, we'll hand build after this too. And again, links in the description for the solver. I forgot to put up their button, but solver, link in the description. Check that out. Stochastic, 15% off with a link in the description to use their data and tools. That's what we got going today. This tournament today is 33% to first, 500K to first place, and 100 or 1.5 mil prize pool. So we'll do that in the next setting here. What with Stochastic, we're going to do is build 10,000 lineups here and have them compete 10,000 times. We'll find out what the highest ROI plays are according to Stochastic data. Yeah, sorry, Chunk. It's just like I'm not going to gamble it. For the pick'ems, I can't gamble them in general because in Pennsylvania, I can't do them. But I do them on Fridays because, it feels right to do for underdog. For these, I just like pick'ems on a single game. Just don't do it for me. That's basically it. Use unabated, though. If you're going to build pick'ems, I would give you that recommendation. Their market-based projections for NFL going to do a lot better than I would do for you, even if I put in my full ass on that effort. And add to a pick'em, Christian Watson over. And I had one more for Thursday, too. I've not put out my fantasy points prop column yet. Maybe I only have Watson. Oh, yeah, no, I don't have anybody else from Thursday yet. But Watson, I did take plus 100 at the odds I got were plus 630 on FanDuel. This is NBA. Why is NBA coming up? It says NFL. What is Stochastic doing to me here? This is not right. All right, let's refresh this. Hopefully it'll work correctly this time. I did that correctly. It said NFL and 10,000 lineups. I don't know why it gave me the NBA slate. By the way, Charles Bassey, he's slate play coming up for NBA tonight. Devin Vassell, too. Could be talking about a lot of those guys. No, we do not get pick'ems here. We have enough legal sportsbook things, so it's not really that big of an issue for me. I could still get my action down, but it does suck because, if I could do pick'ems and build them out here, I'd probably convert better for underdog, but what are you going to do? All right, let's hope these don't give me NBA lineups again. Oh, this is fucking for the main slate too. I fucked up again. Sorry, guys. They're making it hard on me today. It usually naturally populates the showdown, but it's not doing that today. All right. Now we got it. Eventually, you're going to find the top ROIs. That's the promise here. It's a real-time process on the video. More real-time than I intended. I would say the other thing, too, that I did not talk about up top, if this game were to play down in total, wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. These are two good defenses. I'm really shocked to see it's a 51.5 point combined total for these teams. Obviously, I get it on the Detroit side. They put up a lot of points, but like I think this game, like Green Bay could be stymied, and it wouldn't shock me. You can't find LeBron. That's unfortunate. I don't even think LeBron is on the NBA slate tonight either, so don't worry about it. You're fine either way. Charles Bassey, if you could get him in the 3K minimum salary in the DK Showdown slate for NFL, I'd play him. Charles Bassey's been a great per minute producer in the NBA. I mean, that was odd. It's never done that to me where it just gave me the wrong sports lineups, but that must have been something in caching, I guess, from not refreshing the tab. And we're going to get there. And guys, if you're watching this one, I haven't done this shilling at all. Just like, it's hectic around the house today because Alex is going to New York for a couple days. But please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Your engagements go a long way for me. I'm just one guy here running 2 YouTube channels for the NFL and NBA. I do the most work possible every day, data-wise, to get where I need to go, to get you guys the best info. So please show some love if you got some value on this video. Subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. All those engagements go a long way for me. All right, your top ROI lineups right now, according to Stochastic. Number 1 is a JMO. Jameson Williams captain, number 1. JMO matchup-wise, yeah, I'm not crazy about JMO here. I think this is an Amon-Ra spot. JMO's fine. He does okay versus zone. 20% target rate versus zone. 2.5 yards per route run. Has scored a lot of touchdowns versus zone. A 21% touchdown rate. Maybe. Him at captain, though, with Amon-Ra in it, I don't know if I see that. I feel like you'd have to fade Amon-Ra for JMO to hit it captain. But anyway, JMO, Amon-Ra, Christian Watson, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Tim Patrick. So you do have enough of a game script here for Jordan Love to be passing because theoretically the Detroit pass game is getting there hugely. You're fading both Detroit running backs here, which definitely will be unique. That was one thing on Thanksgiving that just didn't occur to me, that people were going to play Gibbs. If they didn't play Gibbs, they're going to play Montgomery, and some portion of people would play both. Here on a showdown, people will probably, again, play Gibbs, play Montgomery, not do a situation where they're not going to play either. So I get the logic in this top one, even though I don't love JMO at captain. Number 2 ROI lineup is JMO, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, David Montgomery, Emmanuel Wilson. I just don't think he can get there. The workload has totally gone Brooks' way. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff. Number 3 is Jordan Love, Christian Watson, Jahmyr Gibbs, JMO, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. I am low on Jaden Reed, but if you swapped in Wicks there and kept the salary as it is, or kept the rest of the lineup as it is, so the salary just drops, I think that would look more appealing. Honestly, just taking good Jaden Reed lineups and pivoting them to Wicks, I think would be a good move on the slate. Because I think Wicks can outscore Jaden Reed outright. Jahmyr Gibbs, and also people, again, with the Wicks lineups, they're just going to jam in everybody because that $4,200 salary for him allows you to get everybody in. So just pivoting off of Jaden or Christian Watson if you like Reed and you don't agree with me. But just taking those guys and just going to Wicks, I think it's one way to do this. Number 4 is Jahmyr Gibbs at captain. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jake Bates, Jared Goff, Sam Laporta, Tucker Kraft. And number 5 is Jahmyr Gibbs again at captain, Jake Bates, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, Josh Jacobs, Lions D. What's Bates' projection? Bates is at 9.5 with how much Detroit goes for it. $5,200 salary too. I'm not Jake Bates crazy. Like Green Bay could get some stops, I guess. But it's got to be like, it can't be 4th and 3 and under or else Detroit's going to go for it. I just never like a Lions kicker when they're coming up easily because like the Lions will not use their kicker entirely in some games. And that sometimes really hurts you. Your top 150 exposures or top 150 lineups and their exposures. Look at that in a moment. In terms of ROI, nobody with a positive ROI across the 150 set. The highest ROI is Jake Bates at -2% at captain, also -4% in the flex. So stochastic people are going to be getting Jake Bates out the ass today. They're going to be getting a lot of Jake Bates. Emmanuel Wilson coming up as a -6% ROI. Nothing's positive here, so it doesn't really matter. Top exposures overall in the flex. You're getting Jared Goff, 53% in the flex compared to the field's 49, so not a big stand there. Jordan Love, 50 compared to 48, not a big stand there. Josh Jacobs, 47 compared to 36 in the flex, a little bit of a stand. Jahmyr Gibbs, 43 compared to 37 in the flex, a little bit of a stand. Jake Bates, they are jamming in, 40% compared to 22. Amon-Ra, 33 compared to 37, so less Amon-Ra in the flex. David Montgomery, less in the flex, 29 compared to 32. I don't agree with that. Don't agree with that. Let's see. Devin Vassell, captain. Devin Vassell was great for me the other night in one lineup that got killed by Michich and Hartenstein. I like Vassell. Vassell's going to soak up a lot of usage tonight, but I'll talk about more of that in NBA. But look, you get me talking garbage Spurs pretty easily here. Bassey and Vassell night for sure. Captain plays. You're getting 17% Jahmyr Gibbs compared to 10%. So Stochastic flat up doesn't agree with me. Gibbs is their priority play. I let those things ride, usually going the opposite way. So I will be competing with Stochastic people tonight if they're going to stick with this Gibbs projection. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're getting him less at captain too. I thought you maybe would get more at captain to make up for less in the flex. But 13% exposure at captain compared to the field 16. Jordan Love, you're getting 11% compared to 9. So a little bit of a positive stand, but not much. Jared Goff, 9.3 compared to 8. A little bit of a positive stand, but not much. Jacobs, you're getting 9% compared to 10% at captain for the field. So a little bit of a negative stand. Jaden Reed, a little bit of a negative stand. JMO, really just not a lot of leverage here. Your highest leverage is Gibbs at 6%, 1% Laporta, 1% Goff, 1% Bates. So this is Jake Bates slate. Let's look at some other captains real fast, and then I'll make my hand build lineup off of, well, not off of that, but I'll make one. Or should I do the hand build first, then we go back and look at captains? Let's do that. Let's do it that way. That way there's a little more mystery for me instead of me trying to build what the sim has given me. All right. NFL Showdown. Large contest. 35% to first. All right. What do we do here? It's a high total game. Points being scored. Do you think it's hard for Christian Watson to make it as captain? He certainly can. I think it's Amon-Ra captain for me. Doesn't feel too unique to go Amon-Ra captain, but Pim PPR scamming his way in a competitive high total game feels right. Some risk that he and JMO can flatten each other out. I always like Montgomery captain in these spots. Fuck. Let's go Montgomery captain. It's too chalky. It's too chalky. Let's go JMO, I think, a captain. So obviously I'll do it for some lineups here, but for one hand build, let's try it this way. David Montgomery captain. Flex, I'm still going to put in Amon-Ra on the flex. Feel good about Christian Watson in the flex as well. Jared Goff. Does Jared Goff make it here? Got Montgomery catching touchdown or rushing touchdowns in. Probably not catching touchdowns. Josh Jacobs in this build with Montgomery. I think Jacobs scores a touchdown. Let's go Jacobs here. So that's going to probably take us out of the Goff game. I think we have to have Wicks and then leave salary on the table. Wicks getting targeted a lot versus man, probably due for positive regression. He'll get played too much in the slate in general. Like I mentioned, too much at captain because of how easily he makes you able to cram in everybody. Too much in the flex because he's going to work with every salary. But I think if we leave some money on the table here, he's going to look good. So that means probably not taking Laporta. Fading both QBs feels a little bit risky here, but we just can't expect a ton of passing touchdowns, I think is a reason that could work. Wicks Love with Monty captain. I mean, look, we have two pass catchers making it. That does increase the odds of Love making it. But if Love doesn't throw for touchdowns, these guys just get there through yardage and PPR. That's where I think Love doesn't make it. So I'm going to try to play for that and say Jacobs gets a touchdown. I think this makes sense for me, even though it might not for you guys. Who's the last play? Tim Patrick getting there. Maybe Tim Patrick scores a touchdown, and that hurts JMO and takes enough away from Amon-Ra. So this leaves 2,900 on the table with Montgomery at captain, Amon-Ra, Watson, Jacobs, Wicks, Tim Patrick. I'm really floored by how much Tim Patrick played last week. It doesn't mean he's going to get targets, but wow, that's a really negative ROI. We were on such a good run of positive ROIs, but I think it's because I'm not playing either QB. Can we salvage this? Let's see, we go off Patrick. They love Jake Bates, right? So we'll take Jake Bates here. That's how the Lions score a little bit less touchdowns. It's probably because of no QBs, yeah. But like on this game where you have like all the player projections aren't that far off the QB, I think you can get away with playing no QB more. But Sims might not be comfortable with it. I think this is it. Negative 6% ROI. Still wins 0.2% of the time. Montgomery, captain. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Christian Watson. Josh Jacobs. Dontavian Wicks. Jake Bates. I feel strongly here that you can not play both QBs on the slate, and the lineup looks good. And I think there's a logic to not playing both QBs either, because you do have running backs to take touchdowns away. You have guys that can get there through PPR and yardage. I like the concept of not playing both QBs. But let's go back here, and let's see what a lineup would look like without both QBs. That's one way to do this. So lineup does not contain Goff. Lineup and lineup does not contain Love. So not a lot in the top 150. This is getting you unique, but you're still getting positive ROIs. The number one would be Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jake Bates, and Lions. So playing the full run game here with Montgomery and Gibbs. You're not playing Jacobs, though, with it. Number two would be Gibbs, Amon-Ra. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see this better. Dontavian Wicks, Jake Bates, JMO, Josh Jacobs. So we're getting RB captain with another RB back. Another one here, run dominant, Gibbs captain, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jake Bates, Josh Jacobs, Lions, Laporta. I think their issue with the way that I played that is that I didn't play enough of a run-focused build. The sim seems to like a pure run-focused one where you're getting less pass catchers in. I hopefully made my argument well enough for why I like the receivers and that kind of build more, but your mileage may vary. Captain lineups. Let's see what we got. Captain contains Goff. Jared Goff, captain. Goff, Amon-Ra, Montgomery, Wicks, Gibbs, Tim Patrick. Number two is Goff, Montgomery, JMO, Josh Jacobs, Lions, Laporta. Number three, Goff, Amon-Ra, Montgomery, Emmanuel Wilson. I just don't want to play Emmanuel Wilson tonight. I'll say that. Jahmyr Gibbs, Lions, D. This one gets duped to hell. Would not play that. I don't know how they're giving you zero dupes on that, even with it being a lowly played. We don't think Lions onslaughts get played a lot. A 50K one with all obvious guys will get played. So this is not, that's not unique enough. Let's go to Jordan Love captains. You got Jordan Love with Christian Watson, Jahmyr Gibbs, JMO, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. Jordan Love with Christian Watson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jake Bates, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. Jordan Love with Amon-Ra, David Montgomery, Jaden Reed, Packers, and Tucker Kraft. And you're not getting my natural duo here, which would be Watson with Wicks, which I think can hit. That's this one. I guess this one too. Love, Watson, Montgomery, Wicks, Jacobs, Kraft. I like that one. If you're going to have Love at captain, you got to have at least two pass catchers with him, probably three. And then you fade Jaden Reed with that. I would like that a good amount. Captain contains Montgomery. Let's see these. David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. So both RBs making it. Jake Bates. I don't think both RBs can make it, and Bates also makes it. Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, Sam Laporta. Yeah, no. Kicker with an RB captain and Gibbs. You're saying that Montgomery probably has to score 2 touchdowns for him to get there. Gibbs at least 1. How does that leave enough for Jake Bates to kick field goals? I don't think it does. David Montgomery at number 2. Montgomery, Watson, Gibbs, Bates, Jordan Love, Laporta. Number 3, Montgomery, Gibbs, Bates, Jaden Reed, Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft. This one's probably my favorite because of leaving money on the table, but it still has Bates with Gibbs and Montgomery. I just don't think that's the play. Okay. Captain contains, who else do we have to hit? Watson. Christian Watson, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jake Bates, Jaden Reed, Jordan Love. Same thing I mentioned for dropping Jaden Reed to Wicks. You could probably do that with Gibbs to Montgomery, not in this lineup, but in general. Might be one way to do it. Watson, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, Packers. Christian Watson, Jared Goff, Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Tim Patrick. Probably like that one the most. But I just not in love with it, though. Wicks captains. How do we get unique enough to win a tournament with Wicks at captain? Leaving a lot of money on the table. So you could see here, the top ROI lineups are leaving 3K, 4K almost. So that's one to keep in mind here. You got Wicks, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Packers D. So a game script where the run game's killing it for Detroit. Pass game gets there. Hard, I think, for both Detroit RBs and Jacobs to make it, but maybe they're tight early on. Then game loosens up the second half. Wicks with Amon-Ra, Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft. You're still getting all legit players. I think these might get duped more than they should with this much money on the table. Wicks captain is going to be a really tough needle to thread. It would not shock me if you see it's a lot of dupes on Wicks captain lineups. Wicks, Gibbs, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Tim Patrick. That one getting closer to unique by not playing any real Detroit pass catchers, I think. Jacobs captain, yeah, we're getting all of them, but Jacobs captain, sure. Jacobs, Amon-Ra, Wicks, JMO, Jordan Love, Packers, Jacobs, Montgomery, Gibbs, Jared Goff, Lions, Patrick, Jacobs, Watson, Wicks, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Love, Sam Laporta. Those are fine. Feel kind of doopy, though, to be honest. Shal Kendrick, my man here. Everyone hit the like and subscribe to Sport. Yes, please do that. Of course, I'm doing this for all you guys here. So, Adam, sometimes I think you're really smart, and you say stuff like this. You leave money on the table to try to get more unique overall, because basically if you're playing lineups that have 49.9 salaries, you're going to get duped a lot more because those get played more. You leave money on the table, you're getting the patterns that people just don't hit as much. That's a pretty obvious thing on showdowns that we've talked about on every single showdown slate the entire year. But it's one of the core things to know on showdowns. You have to have levers to get unique on any slate. The easiest way to get unique is to be the fade. You know, the guys are going to pop up in every lineup, your Lamars, your McCaffreys, all of that. All right, fair enough. You don't play DFS. I know you're smart, so I guess I didn't know you just didn't play DFS. For showdowns, leaving money on the table basically is like everybody's going to play Jaden Reed because they want to get the highest projected guy who's a name they know. So they're going to cram in that money. If you leave that money that goes to Jaden Reed and go to Christian Watson, go to Wicks, you're getting the same functional play where it's just a receiver from Green Bay. But you're leaving money on the table and you're doing the thing that a lot of people won't do. And leaving money on the table is especially important for Thursday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football stuff, because like casual players hate leaving money on the table. They don't think that's like a thing you're supposed to do, which I guess Adam has kind of proven out. But it's all for uniqueness. It's all about like showdown is not, I've said a million times on here, showdown's not about playing the best players. It's not about jamming in. That's what people playing Wicks at captain are going to do. They're like, shit, I play Wicks at captain. I can get Reed. I can get Love. I can get Goff. I can get Amon-Ra. Like that's how they play this stuff. By not doing that, you still have functionally the same chance at first place and probably a better chance at first place. It's just, you know, I don't know, psychography, psychology for people. Psychography, that's what I'm looking for. It's like the psychographics of people that play this stuff. They don't want to leave money on the table, so it's just one of the things you can do. Hey, what's the matter with an 88-way split for first? That's, yeah. But if you don't play DFS, I guess, you know, like you wouldn't grasp that part. But in general, the goal with DFS is like if you have a first-place caliber lineup, you want it to be unique. You don't want it to be chopped 100 ways because that's your one shot at a first place you might have for an entire season, even for like 5 years of a season. So that's that. I feel like you have to be doing a bit, but no, you don't get extra points for it. No, it's just a better shot to have a bigger payday. Anyway, that's your Jacobs captains. I assume people know too much sometimes. I could see how that would be a flaw of mine for sure. I forget if we looked at Montgomery captains: Montgomery, Gibbs, Bates, Reed, Jordan Love, Laporta, Montgomery, Watson, Gibbs, Bates, Love, Laporta. I just don't get why they like the sim is going, you're playing two Detroit RBs. Yeah, play the kicker too, who naturally pulls away from the RBs. That doesn't make sense to me. But Montgomery, Gibbs, Bates, Jaden Reed, Jacobs, Kraft. Can we get one without fucking Bates? And Gibbs for that matter? Oh, good. We get one without those guys. We get Emmanuel Wilson in it. Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Emmanuel Wilson, Goff, Laporta, Love. These Montgomery captain lineups. There's got to be better ways to handle the Montgomery captain lineup. I don't think these are it, to be honest. Who else do we have? We didn't look at JMO. He was in the top ROI lineup, but we'll look at a few of him. JMO, Amon-Ra, Watson, Goff, Jordan Love, Patrick, JMO, Amon-Ra, Montgomery, Emmanuel Wilson, Gibbs, Jared Goff, and JMO McManus. So you're getting the opposite kicker at least, which is probably great leverage given how much Bates is going to come up for stochastic people today. Christian Watson, David Montgomery, Jared Goff, Jordan Love. Anybody else? We didn't look at Amon-Ra captains. I'll look at that fast. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Dontavian Wicks, Jake Bates, Jared Goff, Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Dontavian Wicks, Emmanuel Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, Josh Jacobs. Amon-Ra, Christian Watson, Emmanuel Wilson, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, Jordan Love. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, Jake Bates coming up way too much. If I were playing just off stochastic data today, I usually for showdowns, will be playing off the solver. Depends how much time I have. I would really watch your ass for Jake Bates coming in here because he's in everything. I get he projects decently, but $5,200 kicker for a team that goes on fourth down at one of the highest rates in the league and has for the entire time Dan Campbell's been the coach. I'm not sold on that. You never played DFS. Generally didn't know. You underdog rain. All right, fair enough. Well, I'm glad we were able to figure out bottom. Adam, because it's you, it's like I don't ever know if you're trolling or not, but we figured it out. So now we know. All right, 3 ways to get unique, guys. We're at 45 minutes. First of all, before I hit my 3 ways to get unique, hit that like button, subscribe. It goes a long way for me here. Again, I'm just one guy. And if you tell me things that you need to learn, I'm happy to try to explain it. I didn't know that Adam didn't know that stuff. So I guess I should just always give the baseline 101 understanding of the stuff here. But the goal here of this show is to help you hop in, see things I'm seeing as I'm gambling. And I hope that adds value. And of course, I do them every day, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Of course, at Splash Play NBA, different channel for my NBA content every day at 4 p.m. Similar processes, except for NBA. I build my own projections and I show you prop betting markets every day from Unabated. So those are your key differences here. But if you want to get better at NFL and NBA, pretty confident these videos will help you out, even if you don't follow everything I'm saying, at least to learn how to think about it a little bit differently. Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash, stochastic, link in the description, 15% off. Again, you want to see these tools and data, look at more lineups for yourself. You do that. Unabated, $30 off. Don't pair it with their Cyber Monday deal, I guess, but pair it with something else to get $30 off for a monthly package on Unabated. And the solver, link in the description for that. All right, 3 ways to get unique here. Number 1, don't play Dontavian Wicks. That's as simple as that. Dontavian Wicks is going to get an ungodly amount of lineups today. He projects well. He looks good. He also finds ways to fail in spots he shouldn't fail. I do think this is a spot where he should do better than he has on the year. The fact he's been getting targeted 40% of the time versus man defense is a lot. So the issue is like he's been terrible doing it. Like 0.3 target per out run rate or yards per out run is awful. Like he's not catching anything. That said, he's got a limited opportunity because of Dobbs being out. So I think Wicks is a good play to go to today. But if you just fade him, you're going to be more unique as a result because everybody's going to play him. And I really think if you're going to play Wicks, like be careful playing him at captain, leave money on the table because that's something where people are going to jam in all the good plays with Wicks at captain. You're not going to be able to get unique there. Like I'm 99% confident in that right now. And frankly, more like 100. Number 2 way to get unique on the slate, it would be onslaughts. I think onslaughts are a little bit on the menu more. We saw a few coming up for Detroit. There were a few for Green Bay in the oddball lineups, but not a lot. The only people who want to play onslaughts here because it is a high total game, lots of great projections on both sides. But if you get the onslaught right, if Detroit runs away with it, Green Bay somehow pulls off the upset, Detroit never gets going, you're going to be pretty much alone on an island. So I think onslaughts are in play today, even though they don't feel great relative to the slate. But again, it's not about building the best players in a lineup. It's about building your best, most realistic shot to first place. They're still pretty well projected with high ROI lineups with onslaughts. So onslaughts, I think, should be not all you do today, but if you're putting into 20 max, try to get 5 onslaughts, a couple from each side, 3 from Detroit. I would say 2 from the Packers. Number 3 way to get unique here, I think is, especially if you're using stochastic data, don't play Jake Bates. Jake Bates is coming up so much here. Detroit, from back in my Football Outsiders days, we had a thing called the aggression index, which would look basically historically at coaches, how much they go for it on fourth down and kind of those key high leverage spots. Dan Campbell was always tops in the league for it. He's one of the sharpest analytic coaches in football. As a result, you get a 4th and 5, 4th and 3, 4th and 2. The Lions are going for it. So Jake Bates, like he's a fine enough kicker. He's okay. But at 5,200 and this, he's coming up so much ownership wise too. Where they projected at? They haven't projected at 21 with how much he was coming up the sim. I think it gets closer to 30. I just think Jake Bates is not sneaking up on anybody today, and he's going to get in naturally in a lot of these lineups. So I'd say don't play Jake Bates. And if you want to try to get oppo leverage against the McManus, you could do that. You could just also not play kicker as well. And honestly, tangent on that, maybe try a defense instead of Jake Bates. I think try one of the defenses here. They both create good pressure. Detroit's defense has been good. Lions defense has been good. Green Bay's been good as well. Like these have been good defenses. So they could get one takeaway here, maybe a pick 6, maybe a fumble recovery for a touchdown. It can happen. So defenses don't come up at all, it feels like here, but you're getting a ton of kickers. So maybe a little more defense, even though, 51 point total doesn't do a lot for you to encourage defenses. There we go, guys. That's this video here. Again, I'll be back at 4 p.m. on Splash Play NBA. Also back on Stochastic Deeper Dive again today at 5 p.m., I believe that is. So you'll double header of NBA content for me. Of course, thank you to all the paying members. You too can support the show, much like PBS. I can't do the show without the support of viewers like you. So please join for $4.99. Get a VIP Discord where I talk about NFL, NBA, give updates and stuff. If there are things I need to talk about that I don't want to put out publicly, which is pretty much everything, so I don't tweet. I put it in the Discord. So check it out. Join down below and then sync your YouTube to your Discord. You also get my data sheet with all the advanced analytics I look at every week. Premium stream on Fridays where we go game by game, looking at the advanced analytics as well, and more to come in the off season. So join down below and do that. And of course, gamble responsibly. Play less Jake Bates, even though it's always money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Adam for asking a legitimate question and not trolling today. Lots of things to be grateful for. But I appreciate all you guys being here. I'm grateful for you guys watch this channel. Keep watching. Come back for tomorrow. Same process for the main slate at 11 a.m. I'll see you guys then. Enjoy your days. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye.